Depression is not a nice thing to have, and sadly, a lot of people really do have it. And no, not the people that saw on Tumblr that having depression is the new thing and decided they have it. I mean people that actually have depression. People that have a chemical imbalance which makes them unable to feel actual joy. That makes them unable to function at times. It makes them just want to stay in bed, curled up, and cry for no reason. It makes them unable to see an escape, unable to acknowledge even that there is a chance that they can get better. And games will not cure that. They can't. Medication can, but that tends to be expensive and sometimes has very bad side effects. But here are a few games that can help you deal with it. These are the top 7 games to help you deal with depression. Games that will give you something to focus on. Games that will give you something that will shift your perspective on things. Games that will just let you enjoy yourself. No matter how wretched you're feeling, maybe just for an hour, they'll let you escape. They're no substitute for actual treatment. They won't work indefinitely, but they just may give you a moment's rest. That being said, let's get it started with number 7, Kerbal Space Program. Puzzle games tend to do well for people with depression because it gives them something small to focus on, a simple task, a simple problem that they can fix. Kerbal is the same thing, but unlike a regular puzzle game, it does 2 extra things. It can teach you something, maybe something you'll never actually use. Not a lot of people are gonna work for NASA, or Tesla, or whoever's gonna colonize Mars, but it will teach you some very interesting tidbits about spaceflight. And the second thing that Kerbal Space Program does is that it scales upwards a lot. Puzzle games, like Bejeweled, Candy Crush, generally don't. This one does. If you get the sense that, this game is actually interesting, I'd like to see if I can do more in it. And this one you can. You start out with a simple task. You build a ship, a really small ship, something that can go into orbit maybe or just up in the air without exploding. That's your core task. That's the first thing you do, the most basic thing you can do. Eventually, you will end up visiting every planet in the solar system, maybe even building bases on them, constructing space stations, docking with them in orbit around a planet that's so far away you can't even see it with your naked eye. That will keep you busy. And keeping yourself busy when you have depression can be very important because otherwise you'll have nothing else to think about than, Whereas in Kerbal Space Program, you'll be thinking constantly about aerodynamics, heat shielding, fuel usage, and why Kerbals are so goddamn flammable. Number 6, Path of Exile. Now, initially I was gonna recommend Diablo 3 for this, but well, I genuinely do not like the direction in which Diablo 3 has gone since it's been launched, and Path of Exile is free. Now, why Path of Exile? Why this kind of game? It's simple and repetitive, and I don't mean that as a bad thing. That's actually a good thing for dealing with depression. You have a task to do, one that you can do it over and over again, and at the end you'll get a small reward. Clearing up a dungeon does that. Fighting a bunch of enemies and a map does that. Going on a boss raid with some people online does that. It gives you a repetitive task that can actually be a bit enjoyable, and at the end you get a reward. It's sort of a bit addictive in itself, like that structure of doing something simple again and again and again and getting that reward. It'll keep you busy. It'll keep your mind off things for a while. And unlike Diablo 3, Path of Exile does actually allow you to plan things out in terms of character build, because in Diablo 3, no, in Diablo 3 you do not have a character build. You have all the abilities you want, and you can't actually build towards something. You have just item builds. But in Path of Exile, you have skill builds, you have passive builds, and then you have item builds. You can do a lot of things in it. You can plan things out. You can be meticulous. You can try your best and find the exact character you want to play as. Fine-tune it to perfection. And if you don't like Path of Exile because it has kind of boring lore, get Diablo 2 or Torchlight. Essentially, Torchlight 2 is Diablo 2. They have the exact same structure. Number 5, Broforce. This game is about as straightforward as it can get. You play as an oversized macho action hero. There's female characters too, they are macho as well. And you go around killing everyone you see. Were this game not created with a style that's this pixelated, the violence may have been a bit upsetting, but the way it is built, it is created for humor. It is created to make fun of that violence, to make it so over the top, so exaggerated, so cartoony, that all you can do is laugh at it. Of course, it doesn't hurt that the characters are very well made, they are fantastically varied, and they have a lot of different abilities, and that the music of the game is superb, especially at the end. Like at the end of a level, when you blow up Satan, because you do, why wouldn't you? There is that musical sting, that Power Rangers-like tune that just fills you with energy and makes you want more destruction, more violence, more cartoonish goodness. Now this may not work for everyone, but my god is it fun. And you even have a free version of it which was made to promote Expendables, that movie series with the macho action stars, which are kind of already in the base game but playing different characters. Number 4, Roxy. Going completely 180 from Broforce, we have an adventure game where you play as a clown. One that everyone believes to be evil, but isn't. Dropsy is a clown that genuinely wants to make people's lives better. He wants to spread unconditional love. This game even has a hug button. You can hug everything. There's more or less no dialogue in it. You just go around talking to different characters and trying to discern what they want from pictograms that show up above their heads. And you try and find out what they need, what's missing in their lives, what you can do to improve their life, what you can do to help them. And when you do complete the puzzle, when you do understand what they need, when you do complete the challenge, you are rewarded with their happiness, with their display of affection, with their love. Now, much like Broforce, maybe this won't connect with everybody, but it's a very interesting take on the concept of an adventure game. Then again, if you do prefer something more traditional, we have number 3, The Secret of Monkey Island. You need a good laugh. Like if you have depression, you need something that will give you a good laugh. So you can either watch every bit of the Swedish Chef from the Muppets on YouTube, or you can play something like The Secret of Monkey Island, which is a very good adventure game. One that is funny, exceedingly amusing. It is ridiculous. It is a parody of a genre before being a parody of a genre. It was actually something that people did. It is an unblemished golden standard for adventure games, filled with positivity, filled with humor, filled with a sense of adventure and an uplifting, cheerful tone. It's slapstick, it's witty, it's everything a funny adventure game should be. Also, the sequels are quite good. Number 2, Worms with a Friend. First of all, get a friend. That's gonna help you a lot more than most video games will. Secondly, play Worms together. Worms is the kind of game that you can even just play a demo version of it for 6 hours straight and still want more. Because the main driver of it is how you play, how you interact with the people who are playing it with you. You have a bunch of cartoon worms that are shooting each other with sheep, with cows, with old ladies. You have concrete donkeys, you have hand grenades, you have bazookas, baseball bats, you have an array of stupid and quite fun weapons to use. This game is cheerfulness embodied. It is ridiculous fun made flesh. It is absolutely wonderful to play with someone, and it will, without a shadow of a doubt, get you to feel something other than sadness. Probably anger. And number 1 is, well, there's 2 of them, The Sims and Stardew Valley. It depends mostly on what you want, but the basic idea here is the same. Living vicariously through the life of someone else. The Sims gives you so many options that you are able to use any way you want. You can set up the kind of life you would want. You can have any sort of relationship you want with the people around you, people that you can also make exactly how you want them to be. You can create another life here. You can experiment with that life here. You can maybe get an insight into problems that you are facing and try to solve them here. But for the most part, you're probably gonna try and get people eaten by a giant plant cow. Stardew Valley, on the other hand, also gives you the ability to have a different life, but it does so in a very strict setting, one in which you also have another objective, to create a farm. This is not just a life simulator, it is also a farming simulator, one in which you can grow crops, raise animals, take care of them, ride around on a horse, build up a very lovely ranch, and interact with a lot of different characters, even fall in love with them, marry them. You can get divorced if you want to, and they're gonna be adding multiplayer soon, so you won't have to do this alone. They're both very good games that will help you out, and maybe at least make you forget what you're going through. Maybe. But again, if you do have problems with depression, do see a professional. And for God's sake, do not take advice from social media. Well, that would be it for the top 7 games that help with depression. If you have a PlayStation, I'd also suggest Flower or Flow on the PC, which also runs on Flash, and probably AudioSurf. Or, and this is probably still more of a game than Dear Esther, get Winamp, get some music, get the Milk Drop plugin, and just stare at the screen and watch your music fly by. It's incredibly therapeutical.
Thank you for watching this show. If you enjoyed it, please consider watching some of our other videos and maybe sharing them or giving a thumbs up if you feel like it. And if you really liked what you saw, please check out our Patreon page. For just $1 a month, you could help us make much better shows and get some rewards in the process. Or you could consider buying my book called Tale of Doom. Volume 1 is out now and available for just $2. And as always, if you thought it was horrible, you know where to find me and complain about it.